how to pot balls regularly in terms of seeing the potting point on the object ball, being able to keep your eye on that and pot it. And then we'll move on to more advanced potting, i.e. using side, where to aim to allow for the side. So hopefully by the end of this, your potting is going to be sharp. Okay, potting. We're going to start obviously easy. So it's a straight black into the corner, so it's easy to pick out the potting point because the cue ball, the black and the pocket are all in a straight line. So it's very easy to get your stance and see the shot and deliver the cue, and it's all very simple. The problems start as a beginner when you start getting angles on the shots. So when the cue ball is here, for instance, quite a lot of times you see, even on TV, the professionals landing short on the black. And quite often actually, you'll see professionals do this as well, which, considering how many blacks off a spot they've potted in their career, is incredible really. But you think they would know where the black spot was and where the pocket was, but they still come round. And what they do, they're looking at the straight line again, as we just showed with that straight pot. They're looking at that potting point between the black and the pocket. So it's kind of just sending a message to your brain where to aim the shot once you come round. So you find that potting point on the black, keep your eye on it, don't take your eyes off it. And that helps you get your stance in the right position. So hopefully when you get down, you've still got that potting point in your mind's eye, and that helps you to pot the black. So very important to, all through that routine, make sure you keep your eyes on the potting point in the black. Don't start deviating, because the problem starts if say you're in the middle of a break, there's reds here, and you come round, you find the potting point, you come back, and then you start looking at the reds where you're going to play the position. Then you get down, you forgot the potting point. So always concentrate, keep your mind on that all the time. When things start getting a bit more complicated when you're potting is when you're using side. And it's one of the most common things that people ask me, where do you aim on the object ball when you're using side? Because obviously, if I'm going to play with extreme right-hand side here, I'm not going to aim the same place as when I was playing ball. So playing ball, you would come round, you would see that's the potting point, you'd keep your eyes on it. But now, because you're playing with right-hand side, and obviously this depends as well on how hard you're going to hit the cue ball. But if you don't cue smoothly, so I'm aiming on that same point, and if I hit the ball not smoothly with right-hand side, the cue ball's going to, from aiming right-hand side, the cue ball's going to get pushed sharply to the left. So that's when you've got to think to allow you for the side. So I'll give an example. If you don't cue the ball smoothly with right-hand side, you're then going to push the cue ball out wide and miss the blue. So there's two things you've got to remember. You've got to cue smoothly, because when you're playing with side, a jerky action will accelerate how far the cue ball is going to move across. In another way, you've got to aim slightly thicker on the blue to allow for that cue ball to deviate. Now, everyone hits the ball differently. Everyone likes to play at a different speed, so the deviation depends on how hard you hit the cue ball. But generally, instead of coming around and finding the potting point for the middle of the pocket, it's almost like you're looking to almost miss the blue, so you'd be thick. So you'd be almost aiming for there, because you're allowing for the throw of the cue ball to go to the left. But it all depends on a smooth cue action. So I'm aiming slightly thicker on the blue. I'm almost aiming to miss it. But if you judge the throw of the cue ball and how hard you hit it, then you can learn how much to allow. It obviously depends on how hard you're going to hit each shot, and it's a very advanced way of aiming to pot the ball that you're going to have to practice to learn. But when you master that, you can play all sorts of shots, all sorts of positional shots. You can play with lots of side. You can really impress your mates. So of course the opposite to the previous shot, when we were aiming thick because we were playing with right-hand side, which is going to push the cue ball to the left. If you're playing with left-hand side, which is going to move the cue ball to the right, you've got to aim thinner on the blue. So instead of aiming for this side, when we play with right, we're aiming for this side now, because we're playing with left. So it's a bit of a minefield to get used to. Again, we've played with other side, we've come up the other side of the table. But again, the key is smooth through the ball, because the minute you cue quickly, that cue ball is just going to move right, left in a hurry, and you're going to miss the pot. Okay, to give you some idea of my point of view where I'm aiming when I'm playing with side, I'm going to use the old GoPro to give you my view of the shot. Try and help you to see where I'm aiming. And when you see this, I'm playing right hand side, but you're going to think, wow, he's missing this blue thick. But the right hand side, because I've cued smoothly, has pushed the cue ball over to be able to pot the blue in the middle of the pocket. So this is an extreme example of aiming offline because you're playing with a loaded side. I've got a shot here just off straight with the black, but I need to get the cue ball up towards the yellow. If I'm going to clear the table, I need position in the yellow. So I'm playing with extreme left-hand side to come off this cushion, so the cue ball is going to go shooting up the table. But obviously, the left-hand side is going to push the cue ball to the right. So I'm almost going to be aiming the black here, which is, missing it by almost a ball's width because I need to allow for the side. But again, you must deliver the cue smoothly. Oh dear. So I gave a good example there of when you're allowing for that much side and not cueing it smoothly, which I didn't do there, that's exactly what happens. So we'll try again, and we'll try and put a better cue action on this one. So that's a good example, although I'm not happy with it. We're showing that when you have to allow for side, you have to cue the cue ball properly. So let's get ready. Again, aiming almost to miss the black, pretty much. Let the side take effect. Up the table for the yellow. Okay, I'll have to use the rest, but it gives you an idea of what you have to allow when playing side and power shots. Now it's going to depend a bit on the snooker club where you play. Is the cloth slick? Is it going to really throw the cue ball all over the place? All these things you've got to take into consideration, but with practice and just playing shots with side, you're going to get used to it, and it's going to make your game, it's going to take your game up a level. Okay, thanks for watching that. Hopefully you've picked up a few useful tips on how to pot balls more regularly, and then the advanced stuff, aiming pots with side is something that obviously takes a bit of practice, but when you can master that, you can make big breaks and really impress your mates with your range of shots. So yeah, hopefully you've enjoyed that. Please like and subscribe, and I'll hopefully see you next time.